Today is Monday, April 24th, 2023. Please rise, put your hand over your heart, and join us in our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Fiscal officer will take the roll.
Porter.
Here.
Bell.
Here.
Berger.
Here.
Canton.
Here.
Kavanaugh.
Here.
Leahy.
Here. We have minutes from the April 10th regular council meeting. Any changes or adjustments to the April 10th council meeting minutes? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve. So moved. By Canton, seconded by Kavanaugh. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Minutes approved. We have minutes of the special stormwater council meeting held on April the 18th. Do we have any changes or corrections in these minutes?
Move to approve.
Approved by, motion by Porter, seconded by Berger. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. We have our visitor. I think we can call you an annual visitor. Is Don Rice, Superintendent, Geauga County Board of Developmental Disabilities. Don, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you for having me. We're trying to get out there. Like you said, Mark said, well, you got a levy on the ballot. No, we do not. And this is just getting out. We hope not to be on the ballot until 2025, maybe 2026. But we try to get out and let people know what we do. I know some of you have heard it over and over and over and over again, but that's basically to make sure everybody understands what we do. Our youngest folks that we serve are newborns. And sometimes we can even go in Europe if the family has a diagnosis of maybe a child with Down syndrome or something like that. We're happy to come alongside and get involved. We bring special speech therapists, OTs, PTs actually come into the family home and help the family. Hey, what do you need to prepare? What do you need if you need to address your child's particular disability? And our hope is that in many of those cases, they can function normally when they reach school age. And in many of those cases, it does. Right now, that's our biggest area of growth. Last year, we had 275 people. Because the state has been pushing things, and we're not sure if maybe some of it might be that COVID, there's a baby boom going on, minor baby boom, but we have a lot of folks who are coming through right now. That's our biggest area of growth right now. Everything else kind of stays fairly stable, but that seems to have boosted up. When you reach school age, we start working with the families and provide supports around the school age. We have family home-based services, which is respite care, maybe some dietary type supplements if somebody had some needs for thickening, if the swallowing needed to be something like that, we could help with a lot of those things. We help with summer camp programs during the summer for kids who are school age. Once they get to be about age 14, we start to bring in some of that adult transition time. Employment is really where we've been focusing a lot. We'd love to take a kid directly out of school into their job instead of trying to do some of what we used to do, where they'd go into a workshop and then transition. It wasn't working. People never came out of the workshop because they found that they liked it there. They had friends there and they didn't want to leave. So now we get them out of school directly, help them get into jobs. Right now we have about 182 people who are working minimum wage jobs or above in the community. You'll see them around if you go to a lot of the stores and things like that. They're working in the area. In 2012, that was about 35. Today, it's about 182. We expect to see that continue to grow. Out of our 570 adults, having 180 some working in the community is really something very good that we're proud of. So it's good to see that change has happened. On the far end of the scale, our oldest people are 94. They don't have family around. We're caring for about 200 people on a 24/7 basis because they don't have family. They don't have somebody who can care for them. So we're providing that, and that's one of our biggest things that we've had to fill in. If you go back going into the 80s and so forth, we might have had a handful because there were different things. But today, having somebody that lived to be 94, that was unheard of. 65 was an old person in the ED world. Having been lived to 94 now is very, very different. So healthcare has come a long way, just like it has for all of us. But we're proud of what we do. We're proud of who we serve. Do you have any questions?
I do, Don, and I'm asking it real nicely.
Sure.
And I read my tax bill and memorize it exactly what I do.
Okay.
Metzenbaum itself gets somewhere between 3 and 4 times, and I'm just reading off the website, and this is my property assessment. What Children's Services, which I presume is JFS, gets $46 annually, where Metzenbaum gets $143, Park District gets $51, and Mental Health itself, I think I said 43. Roads and Bridges, $35. So explain that to me if you can. And I don't know that you can't account for the other
I
departments,
can't
but
account for the other departments, but I can tell you that in a lot of those cases, there's federal or state dollars that are going heavily into those same programs. Whereas in our program, 80%, better than 80% of ours is local levy dollars. We get less than 10% in state dollars. Most of that is going to the schools that we transfer right on through the local schools. 800,000 or so of that is from that. Our budget's roughly $16 million a year. We get, I'm going to say, somewhere in the area of right around $1 million from the state. In education, we get about $1 million a year, give or take, from the federal government. Everything else is local. We don't have a whole lot of it. Used to be at one point that we get a whole lot of state dollars. That's all dried up and gone away. Without our local levy dollars, there's no way we serve anybody.
so it's sort of like the schools around here as well, not getting.
It's like a lot of things. Yeah, the lottery was supposed to fix all of that, but all they did was play the shell game and took the lottery money and then stopped putting it in the GRF. You know how that's all played, all through the government. You guys lost a lot as local governments too. At the same time, you guys were losing money under whatever administration that was at the time, Strickland, Taft, or whoever. Kasich, we were losing it too. So it's where we are, without our local levy dollars, most of these things don't occur. There is a match that we're paying. The biggest expense we pay right now is match on Medicaid. Medicaid represents almost $5 million in match that we pay. That goes to the state. We pay the
You
state
pay $5 million as well?
roughly $5 million to the state every year, and then that gets matched with federal dollars.
Mhm.
We pay, well, right now we're paying 30%. As of May 11th, when the health crisis ends, it goes back to 36%, and the feds come in with 64%. So it's a match between that and the feds. None of it comes to us anymore. It used to be that we would have things come to us. We don't get money from the state or the feds very much. Minor amounts here and there.
Okay.
So that's really why ours is the highest. I don't know what Children's Services gets in federal or state dollars or any of that. I can't speak to those bridges. I know that a lot of it goes through NOACA. If you're talking, and you guys know all about NOACA, I assume. I can't speak to all those fundings of that. I can speak to ours, and that's about all I can talk about.
Thanks.
Yeah, and we are, your school's your highest. We're next.
Mhm.
Parks are right below us. Then you break down into the other ones that are lower down.
Thank you.
Those are questions done.
Don, I just want to say how much we appreciate all of your hard work, everything that you've done for the people of the community, especially our citizens of South Russell.
We
It's
appreciate that.
one of the great things.
Don, one of your biggest successes is the homes for adults in the community. I mean, they're out there, I don't want to sound crude, with us. I mean, they're neighbors.
Yeah.
Did you go through that? I think there's 50-some homes or?
We actually, out of the 200 roughly that we have living 24/7 care, there's 13 living at the Metzenbaum Center itself. All the other ones are out in the community. Most of them, 70 of them live in we have a partner with the Maple Leaf Community Residences. You may or may not know who they are. They're the ones who actually own and maintain the properties for them, so they charge rent. And that comes out of somebody's social security disability or social security supplemental income. But they pay part of that rent to care for the house. We supplement that when it's needed. We help with roofs and things like that they care and maintain for those houses. They have about 25 right now, there'll be 27 at the end of this year. We have 2 new ones that we're bringing online in Chardon sometime later this year. We've been in the process of taking them from, originally, they would buy 2-story homes, and that doesn't help a whole lot if you have somebody who challenge mobility-wise. So we're buying a lot of ranch homes now, trying to make all of our stock so that our folks, when they move in, can stay. And most of the time, they'll stay in the home until they pass away. So it's their permanent home, kind of. Doesn't mean they have to, but oftentimes that's the way it works out. We have also been seeing a lot of landlords who are willing to rent to our folks. A lot of times it's a group home. Some of them live in GMHA housing in Chardon, in which case, we don't have to supplement, that's all through the government type things. Chardon, there's a couple that might be in Newberry, a couple might be out in Middlefield. Wherever an apartment complex might be, there's some folks that were there. Literally, it's about 180, 185 people who are out in the community living integrated lives as much as possible.
And so Don, does the staff, you have 24-hour staff, of course, there. Do
In most
you
cases.
provide that, or does Maple Leaf?
That's a separate entity. We work with private providers, so they're not county employees. They're employees of private companies. And
Staffing companies?
Staffing companies, we call them private providers, they're partners. They hire the staff, they follow the outlines, there's plans that we write up. Our staff write up a service plan, Ohio individual service plan, kind of like an IEP if you were in school. So it's kind of like that, it lays out everything that needs to be done. If, I'll use you an example, if you were my client and all of a sudden, well, he needs to be fed good meals so many times a day, but he's also got certain dietary restrictions, so that plan would lay that out. Ideally, he needs to have his medicine twice a day, what are those type of things. He needs to be able to make, sorry chief, I'm not picking on you. He needs to make it to his day program or to his employment site or whatever that is, transportation has to come along. All of those things are written into the plan, and those providers would be the people who then do it.
So there's a lot of responsibility there.
Sure there is. Our folks oversee it and make sure that it's happening properly. Now, the chief gets to choose who he wants to serve him. So it's a free choice of provider. We have literally at times, when you count the individuals who step up and sometimes say, listen, I'm a single person, I'll gladly take and work with the chief and make sure all of this gets done. And that's my job, to take care of the chief. Kind of like a foster person almost, in a way. He can choose and say, yeah, but at some point, if the chief says, I don't like how much they're lording it over me, or, I don't like how they're doing, I want somebody new. Our folks will help work with the chief to find somebody else who fits. They can basically fire their staff and start over with somebody else. So it's a free choice of provider, so that they can work through, find the best fit. We've been very, very fortunate in the fact that we've been able to find a lot of best fits. We have a lot of people who are just individuals who say, yeah, I'll take that on. We have 25 or 30 that are one-on-one. In fact, sometimes they take, I'm going to use you again, chief. They say, chief, can move in with me. I can spare a bedroom in my house, they can move into my house, and I'll take care of all the other things. My staff's job is to oversee and make sure that he's getting what he needs.
I think that's one of the biggest kudos that people don't know about that you should receive is how the community and the county take care of our own, and
We have
a lot of brotherhood,
We have
sisterhood.
been wonderfully blessed in our county that we've been able to provide the services we do. That includes thanking the voters for supporting us with the levies. Without it, we couldn't do it. So we always very, very clearly thank the voters, and we want to do everything in our power to make sure that we are good stewards of that. But we've seen other counties where they don't have enough, and they're taking people and cramming them into places that are, what else do? You don't have a provider, you don't have space, they need someplace to go. So the state's been bending a lot of the rules during COVID in particular. And you have places that are supposed to be 4-bedroom homes that have 6 or 8, just because there's no other place and they don't have staff. And we've been very blessed. And we're very, very pleased with the fact that we've been able to provide that.
Any other comments or concerns, or? If not, Don, thank you. Same time next year.
Thank you, I'll be around.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
Good.
If anybody has questions, please, feel free to call me. On the bottom of that sheet that I handed out is the phone number. If you ask for Don, I'm the only Don that works there. If I hire somebody named Don, I'll have to change that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, we have another visitor with us. Lindsay, the floor is yours. Please give your name and address, and then you and I will work together on this request to use the pavilion.
Excellent. My name is Lindsay Self. I live at 1433 Bell Road. I submitted an application to be able to use the South Russell Pavilion on June 2nd from noon to 6 p.m. for a third grade Chagrin Falls class celebration.
We did this 2 years ago, Chief. Yes, 2 years ago. It was a big success. A lot of its success went to the police officers dancing under the fire hose. I think this is a great idea. We've had so many of these use of the pavilions come within the last week. I figured I'd bring them all here tonight and we could just talk about them. There'll be plenty of adult supervision, I'm sure. This is just be the third grade. Was it 2 years ago this kind of expanded from a classroom to a grade, almost the whole school?
So, you know, like in everything, as kids move out of a grade and a new class comes in, you're kind of recreating the wheel year after year, right? So the group of parents, I was not here, or I at least didn't have a third grader the last time that there was a party. And I know COVID threw some things off too. So last year, there was a third grade party in a different park. And I'm not sure which one it was. I know it was not in South Russell. The third grade class in particular really likes the South Russell Park. We really want to have it there. It will just be third grade, but certainly there's a chance that siblings, and we would like for siblings to be able to attend, so that the kids can come and parents can come and they're not having to worry about childcare.
Okay. Our normal procedure is I would approve and then let the council know if they have any objections. There will be over 50 people attending. There'll be bounce houses possibly, and there'll be a catering of food trucks. I didn't see any problem with this. Does anybody have any concerns about this request?
Is there a rain date?
So there's not a rain, Josh, fingers crossed, you don't need a rain date, right? We do not have a rain date. I don't know what we'll do if it rains. So we don't have a plan. We have set up, there will be a fire truck coming in spraying water and the whole thing, so they're gonna get wet anyway, so I don't know, maybe we would just still call it a day. The only question or comment I do have, and I don't wanna raise any objections, of course, to my own form. Parking is going to be an issue. We have about 90 third graders. We're encouraging people to carpool. It is in the middle of a workday, so there are parents that are gonna be sending their kids with other families. But certainly the parking lot's not gonna fit all of those people. In driving down Bell Road, there doesn't appear to be any parking provisions on the street on Bell. That my inclination would be to have people do street parking, but certainly want to make sure that we're getting your opinion and whatever you would suggest we do. Maybe this is a question for the chief.
Yeah, this, weather permitting, we should just park them on the grass like we do for the park shows that you have.
Would it be
concerts.
feasible to speak with the school district and see if the parents can park at Gurney and then be bused over?
Well, that was my question. Is school in session or is this
Well, it's the
after the
last
school
day.
year?
No, it's school no longer be in session. This is not being run through PTO or any sort of school group, because it is just for one grade. So we have not asked the school if they would bus. You know, I work for the school district. I don't know what, like, their contract terms are for bus drivers. I don't know what costs would be affiliated or associated with having to bus. So I don't know if that would be an option. We could certainly ask. I imagine since it's outside of regular contractors, I mean, I don't know if that would have to go in front of the school board or not. I also don't know if people would opt to bus and not have the availability to leave when they need to leave for company.
What we did 2 years ago, it also rained that day. So once we get them started parking,
Yeah.
the people know what to do.
Right.
So I think that'll be fine. We'll park them right alongside the power lines. That should work out just fine.
Great.
Yeah, we should be good. Without any objections, I'll sign off on this and you're good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Feel free to stay or feel free to head home. We've noticed with some of the moms, they wait a little bit because they have dad home putting the kids to bed, so.
I may be dead for the kids to bed either. I thank you very much, the third grade class, thanks you very much.
And also, thank you, Lindsay serves as our Board of Zoning Appeals alternate. And we haven't had any business yet this year.
I know, no
so-
sheds too close to the line.
Oh, they're out there.
They're coming. Thank you, have a good night. Thank you.
Okay, working on the mayor's report. First thing is the creation of the Centennial Celebration Planning Ad Hoc Committee. Ruth and I are holding 2 meetings. One of them is next Monday, May the 1st. The other one is Monday, May the 15th. Inviting people to come and give their opinions. Be nice if we had about 10 or 15 volunteers that had all sorts of great ideas, but those are coming up. But we need, since this is a special committee, we need a motion for the creation of the Centennial Celebration Planning Ad Hoc Committee.
Am I allowed to
Sure.
move
You
that?
can move that, sure.
Move.
Moved by Kavanaugh, second by Canton. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right,
Now, is the meeting gonna be here at the hall?
7 o'clock here.
7 o'clock.
So clear. Okay, while we're going through the bouncy houses, we'll just keep rolling. We got a bunch of these folks. Last year, I think we did 84, 86. This next one's coming up. This will be on Tuesday, May the 9th. There will be bouncy houses there, and it is a private party. So I didn't see any problem. They're going to have, just as I said, a bouncy house. And it's for 2 hours on a Tuesday. Any concerns about this one?
No alcohol there?
No, this is it's a religious organization. Okay? All right, the next one coming along is a party on Sunday, May 21st, from noon to 5. There'll be over 50 people attending, and there'll be catering. And this is a party put on by a private group for our police and fire department. Any concerns about this one? Hearing none, okay. The next one is a party on June 17th. That is a Saturday. It is, there'll be catering and there will be alcohol. It's a retirement party. They're gonna have about 40 people. Any questions or concern about this one? And Chief, they'll work this out with you. Okay, good there. The next one is a party on August 25th. There will have about 25 people and alcohol will also be there. It is a kind of a remembrance for a family member that's passed away. Any concerns about that? Good.
There will be alcohol at that one, did you say?
The alcohol, yes, that's the issue.
So they will also be working on that with the chief?
Yes, yeah, they'll contact you. Moving along, some issues. We've had some issues with the mess, so I've created a couple flyers that'll go up about dog owners and the use of the park, and those go in both the kiosk and the service guys will keep track to see how long they're up before they disappear. Hopefully, that's not going to be an issue. We're having the playground inspected. It's kind of something we do. Now, next, I would look for.
Wait, who inspects it?
Tab Gordon, he is a licensed playground inspector. He also works for Bainbridge Township.
Okay, I know that.
Yeah, oh, good, yeah, he did it before. Next, I'm looking for a motion to spend money out of the mayor's discretionary fund for the park appreciation luncheon, which is now, up to the third day, is going to be on June 16th at Augie's. And there will be anyone who's done something that's helped the park, all our scouts, the Cat's Den ladies who planted those 1,000 daffodils, Ike and Ann Tripp, everybody. This would be something I'd take out of the mayor's discretionary fund. Can we get a motion for the park luncheon?
So
So moved by Canton,
Second,
second by Kavanaugh. Discussion?
Question for the fiscal officer, how much money do we have in the mayor's discretionary fund?
We have 5,000 for the year, and I think the only thing taken out so far was a little bit for the yard sale. So there's, I don't know how much is left, but maybe 4,000.
So 1,000 went out for,
For advertising for the thing, that was 500, and then balloons and whatever, so you probably have 4,500.
So does that cover the luncheon?
yes.
$4,500 will cover the luncheon. Okay.
and the date was the 16th,
The
Mayor?
date is now the 16th.
Of
Yeah,
June, of June.
of June, yes. It's a Friday, yeah, Friday at,
And Mayor, you don't anticipate any other expenditures out of your discretionary fund for the remainder of the year?
I don't know if it's 4,500.
Well, but, you know, I mean,
my planning,
that's
no,
just.
there'll be $100 is going to go to Sharon Bronstein. She's the garden editor, the Plain Dealer. She's charging $100 to come and speak. Other money out of the mayor's discretionary, I don't know. I used to do the veterans luncheon out of that.
Might not be money for that, who knows? But just FYI,
when it's gone, it's gone.
it's gone.
That's right. Yeah, this luncheon may cost a maximum of 1,000, so I'll have 3,500 left. Okay? Okay.
Did we vote on that?
We need a vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right. It's been moved and seconded? Pardon me. This is a motion or
Motion.
just a motion? It's been moved by Canton, second by Kavanaugh. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion passes. Okay. That's it. Questions of the mayor?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
it appears that there's some kind of disconnect between yourself and the Chagrin Lakes Homeowners Association regarding the Chillicothe Road culvert project. Can you expand upon what their expectations are?
Yeah, we had a meeting last week with the contractor, the engineer, the street commissioner, the contractor, and I doing the culvert project. And in the meeting, the contractor said, there's a sign on Chagrin Lakes and said, I'm going to be within inches of that. So Eric said, well, you'll do what you normally do, remove it, put down the new landscaping, put down landscaping, put the sign back. Hopefully the sign will hold together. So, sometimes you take the sign apart. So I sent an email to their homeowner association president saying, hey, this is coming your way. And that created a little bit of a flurry because there's probably a few other issues there. But that's basically it.
You're worried their sign's not going to stay intact?
Looking at it, I didn't go up and grab it. Sign looks pretty good. It's on either a 4x4 or 4x6. But still, when you take it out, however they take it out of the ground, and then there's flowers around it. But he was pretty adamant. He said, I'm going to be within inches of it, so they'll have to go.
I want to follow up. Is that really the only issue that Chagrin Lakes has? I mean, it seemed from the public records request that there was a whole lot more to it than just where the sign is and
Appears to be the size of the culvert.
size of the culvert, how much water is going through, the studies, all that other stuff.
Are they pushing more water to them?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's another issue.
Considering that's the only public records request I got, yeah, there's water. It's a culvert. I mean, we created the central retention basin to stop the water from going right to them and to slow it down.
I understand that. The question is, does Chagrin Lakes HOA understand all the things that have been done to retain the water on the west side and to move that in an orderly fashion through their neighborhood?
East side.
Retain it on the east side.
East side, I apologize. Thank you.
I guess over the years, we've been meeting with them, talking to them. I sent 3 different emails to their homeowners association president during the month of April, explaining different activities that's going to be going on. And we also try to go, Chief and I go to their homeowner association meetings each year. It's the only one we've ever been told not to attend.
Okay, it just, from the documentation that we received, my opinion, it seems like, and I agree with you, Chris, there's a disconnect, that somehow that information has not been received properly in Chagrin Lakes. And do we need to do something else in order to assuage their fears and explain the situation?
I would think two things. One, since as I said, 3 emails were never forwarded to the residents, I think maybe a letter to everybody in Chagrin Lakes, and I would invite them to come on the May the 8th council meeting. Invite them, say, to come at, say, 6:30. I have the street commissioner here and the engineer to answer any questions they may have. In other words, basically hold a public meeting with the Chagrin Lakes people.
I don't disagree with that philosophy. I wonder if a half hour is sufficient to answer their questions and whether it needs to happen sooner than May 8th, because
The project should
The
be
project's-
commencing after school's out.
yeah,
so,
the project's going to be commencing pretty quickly. So I think it would behoove council to have Chagrin Lakes on board with what's going on, and at least the direction of the HOA president, it sounds like that individual is not.
Okay.
May I just let you know that Chagrin Lakes did reserve Village Hall for May 7th for their HOA meeting, but it's a closed meeting for just their association.
Okay.
2 questions, Mayor,
What,
or are you still answering that?
I'm working on this. So we could do it, we could put a notice in every Chagrin Lakes mailbox tomorrow saying there'll be a special meeting about the culvert, and do it next Monday, May the 1st at 6 o'clock, if we could get our engineer here.
We might want to make sure the engineer's available.
Yeah.
We don't want to put things in the mailbox either.
Yeah,
And remember, you have an ad hoc committee meeting that night at 7. So I mean, if it were to go over,
Please.
you have an ad hoc meeting
Yes.
that night at 7.
That's why you said 6.
I get it, I'm just saying, I don't know that.
An hour may not be.
Yeah, would you want to just force them to stop conversation within that, time's up, sorry,
Or the air horn.
you know?
okay. Yes, I'll work it out with the engineer and we'll have a meeting. Earliest would be next Monday, May the 1st. Okay,
I think that would be a good idea from
Could
my
we-
perspective.
Yeah, if you can't do that, could you ask Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday?
yeah, we'd have to take a look.
Okay.
I'll get in touch with Eric and let you know.
Sorry.
All right, judging by the other questions in that public records, I don't know why anybody would want to know, to see the blueprints, to see insurance and all that stuff. I mean, engineers, I don't have access to that. Eric is taking care of all that.
Okay, that answers my question. Thank you,
Okay.
Mayor.
Mayor,
Tomorrow.
Yes, Mark.
My impression from the public records request was that the culvert project was coming as a complete surprise to Chagrin Lakes. And I find that hard to imagine because we've been talking about this, I don't know, 15 years or so, that we need to upsize the culverts there and this, but maybe the fact that it's actually going to happen was a surprise to some of the people in Chagrin Lakes. And then they hear that the culvert's gonna be upsized, so we're gonna get, in Chagrin Lakes, more water than we used to at a higher rate.
Well,
I think that's their concern.
You have to understand that before we built the retention basin, the purpose was to upside the
Mhm.
culvert specifically to push water in their direction.
Mhm.
And I know that during the back and forth discussion about the retention basin, that there were those seated today here that were opposed to the retention basin and wanted the, increased size of the culvert to push more water to them. Now, for them to ask, let's see, the engineering drawings of, the retention basin vis-a-vis the upsized culvert, and what's the water flow, do we anticipate on our side? I think that's reasonable questions that the HOA might have, so, and quite frankly, maybe they thought when the retention basin was built, that they said, well, that puts the kibosh on a larger culvert, why would they need that as well? So I think, voiced by other council members, having a public meeting where we can answer these questions and be transparent, and they have an opportunity to review the plans and see potentially how it's going to affect their neighborhood is not a bad thing. So.
I don't think it's a bad thing either, and these are public record documents anyway. So when they're asked for, they're given because they're public documents. There was some indication there that the HOA president was willing to simply meet and withdraw the public records request, and I'm wondering if anything came of that.
No, I did not approach him about just having a meeting with him. Try that.
So maybe by having a public meeting, that could avoid all that copying and
We've
time.
already done, we've had pulled the public records, that's what's required, so everything my office
Gotta answer
has,
the map,
we have,
Once
it's
it
ready
comes
to go.
in.
It'll be forwarded to him tomorrow. I haven't heard back from all elected officials to find out what you have in your possession. If anything, I've heard from a few of you, but otherwise, what we have so far will go. Because it's public records, it's in our computers, and we have the files, so they'll go tomorrow.
Okay, so there is a,
Schedule that meeting, can you let me know so we can sunshine it?
oh yeah, there is a May 7th, Chagrin Lakes, but we're not invited.
It's
We're
supposed
told to be, okay. All right, solicitor, or pardon me, how many members of council will be at this meeting that we don't know when it's going to occur?
I can't.
So it's going to be a special council meeting?
That's hard to answer. We don't know what's going to occur.
This is why you have your little calendar,
We'll
see
call
what
it
you're doing the
special
first
council
through the
meeting.
third.
I
I
plan
can
on
do it.
attending.
Okay.
All
All right, we got two, we're good. Special council meeting, we'll get it scheduled.
You would need 4 for a special council.
Please,
4 for a special.
we need 4 for a
council.
special, let's call it special council anyway, so we don't have a problem.
Right, no, of course.
Yeah,
I just
okay.
wanted to make sure it wasn't 2, 4.
Other questions of the mayor? Fiscal officer, the floor is yours.
The one thing I just wanted to touch base on, well, first of all, Mayor, you said that there's going to be, the 100th celebration committee, you're having a meeting on the 1st and the 15th?
Yes,
So you want us to change the newsletter? Because I think the newsletter just said the first.
the newsletters, no, the copy that I got from the from Leslie, which shows the 1st and the 15th.
So we're good to go then?
Yeah, the newsletter is it's gonna be out before May 1st. right?
Well, as soon as we gotta get it to the printer tomorrow, because you said to hold up on it, so if we get to the printer, it might go out end of this week, but we have noticed there's been times we take it to the post office and it can take up to 2 weeks before residents get it, so.
Yeah.
But we did see it, Leslie found it, and it was in the Plain Dealer, posted already, so I don't think you want to skip the meeting on the 1st.
No, oh no, Ruth and I'll be here for the one on the 1st, and I'll handle the one on the 15th.
Okay, and then the other thing, just want to touch base on all the stuff going on with NOPEC, we're getting a lot of phone calls about. We've been telling people to look at our website, because Leslie put a bunch of information on the website, and then a lot of that gets linked back to NOPEC. But with NOPEC automatically switching the people from illuminated cupping to the illuminated cupping, people are concerned if they switch, you know, how you're allowed to opt out, but if you opt, you're only allowed to opt out if you read the fine print once every 3 years. So they're concerned about what the rates are, because NOPEC's only guaranteeing it till December, so what's gonna happen after that, if they wanna opt out. And they're only allowed to do that once every 3 years. We've been letting them know about the meetings NOPEC is having, but then one or two residents asked, would the village consider having NOPEC out to explain things to the residents? We're trying to refer them, like I said, to the website and what NOPEC already has out there, but I just wanted to know we have a lot of concerned people calling.
They're having one of those public meetings tomorrow at Bainbridge. I believe it's from 4 to 5 p.m.
Yeah.
Is that the library or?
The
Cambridge Town Hall.
town hall.
They're having a webinar.
But these have been posted. They've been in the paper or, Cleveland.com. They've been.
Oh, I know, I'm just saying, even
Well-publicized.
with all that and us having on the website referring to NOPEC, people are very concerned. So we're getting a lot of phone calls.
Approximately how many calls have we had so far?
I wasn't here last week, but I know Leslie's probably got at least 10, 12, and
Okay.
we've had a couple residents stop in. I think we got 3 or 4 today itself,
Right.
so.
I will, I'll be at the one in Bainbridge tomorrow. I'll find out if, May the 8th, we could have somebody here from NOPEC if that would be necessary, or if we're doing that.
That's
Okay?
all I have.
Questions of the fiscal officer? Danielle, the meet with the risk services consultant from PEP, he came up with 2 things for the playground, one thing for the playground, 9 inches of mulch, and then $250 for the sign.
Mhm.
Tim was not there.
No, the chief and I are the ones listed for the insurance company by council, so
I gave Tim the info, so he knows what to do with the
he's working
handicap
on
signs.
getting it, changed. But the, insurance guy did say he likes the framing around the village's playground because it has a measurement thing on it, so he knew, how high it's supposed to be, so he thought that was a good thing. He did compliment our website. He complimented the village on everything. He said finding only 2 things that weren't of great significance, was pretty good, so. And the other one, I think, was the handicap signs. It has to list that there's a $250 fine, but other than that, those are the only 2 things he found. He said he was very impressed with the village.
So let me make sure I get this. PEP looks at this for insurance, and then we have Tab Gordon, who's the inspector. So it's 2, it seems like 2 things doing almost the
The
same.
playground inspector, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
Yeah, we asked him about that, if that was required. It's not a requirement, it's something our village does, just so we know we're safer people. But, he said that was a good thing, it's not a required thing, but it's a good thing.
okay.
So the
And it's not that
insurance,
expensive, he said.
the insurance guy was looking at the village overall.
Yeah, he drove
and
around the
the
village, he
inspector
went to the
for
park.
the playground itself,
All right,
nothing else.
Correct.
all right.
So that's rather remarkable. We only had 2 things after a village-wide.
Mhm.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, and they do that every couple years.
Okay, Finance Committee, you're up.
Thank you, Mayor. 2 weeks ago, you got a copy of the finance minutes, and those were repeated in your packet, I believe. So, other than that, finance will meet May 12th at 9 a.m.
Questions of the Finance Committee? We are now to the solicitor.
I mean, I have nothing to report, although we did ask Mayor if I wanted to give kind of a quick little synopsis of
Yes.
something that was, contained in the manual that was sent out, or the guide for elected officials for South Russell, mostly kind of focusing on meetings and public records. So I don't know if everyone saw, there's just a really quick summary of some of the, I would say, more relevant case law fairly recently on Public Records Act and the Open Meetings Act. So just so that everyone knows, the way that the law defines meeting is a prearranged gathering of a majority of the members of a public body to discuss or conduct public business. The question is always, well, what's a public body? Clearly, council is a public body. So are all the committees. So keep in mind, in a committee, we have 2 members, usually, except for the ad hoc committee and others. So any, outside of those committee meetings, one-on-one conversations of council members outside of committee that are not on a committee, in other words, those are fine. Those would not violate the Open Meetings Act, even if you're discussing public business. However, if you're in a committee, you're discussing with another committee member, clearly two is a majority, in a committee. So therefore, the way that the Supreme Court and Ohio law really has kind of all come down, all the courts of appeals, all the Supreme Court has said that that is a public body. Any discussion of that requires a notice and it has to be open to the public. What the Supreme Court did fairly recently, 7 years ago, is said that any email communications between majority members of a public body is considered a meeting. Typically, if there's an email out that's soliciting responses and responses are made, that's considered a discussion, deliberation of public business. Does not matter if it's on a private device or a device that council provides for you. It doesn't matter if it's on Facebook or Instagram or it's a tweet or Twitter. It all counts, if you will, towards the Open Meetings Act and therefore requires the notice and being open to public, being open for the public to attend, which is really hard to do, obviously, in email. So the point is if there's any question, the best thing is to obviously refrain from emailing your fellow committee members or council members, again, unless it's a one-on-one conversation. That's just typically the way that the law has come down. And of course, there's consequences if you violate, the Open Meetings Act, and they can be pretty severe. There's civil and criminal penalties, there's injunctions, which, if then there's action that's taken by council and there was actually a violation of the Open Meetings Act, it can be void. So whatever action is taken can be void. Then same thing with the subcommittees. I mean, this is part of the ad hoc, right? I mean, the law has come down and said, listen, especially in the 11th district, has said, does not matter if a subcommittee or a committee or an ad hoc has any decision-making authority. It's kind of what they're doing with respect to public business, even if they're just offering ideas for the centennial celebration, right? That's considered a public body that has to follow the Open Meetings Act. Same with public records. Anything that they're doing at that committee, and if there's some sort of record that gets created and discussed, that is also a public record, has to follow the law. So anyway, I just sent out again, a lot of the confusion I think has to do with the electronic communication because that's our world today. Everything is just an email, a text, that sort of thing. But those are all public records. They all can be subject to the Open Meetings Act. And the other thing to remember is that we do have a record retention policy. And so even if you're sending something from your, phone or your home computer, those records are to be retained. So even though you think that you send it off and you just delete things, those all actually have to be retained by the village. So if someone were to ask for that and we don't have it, that can be an issue. So.
I have a question.
Sure.
So Chairman Bell and I, we have our building committee meeting first Thursday of every month. He's taking the minutes. We both go home. He writes out the minutes. He emails me the minutes and says, how's it look? Did I miss anything? And I go, looks good. We can't do that.
Correct.
That is ridiculous.
I know. We've talked about it before. Sometimes it's form over substance and that sort of thing with the law. Talk to your legislator. I'm serious. I agree with you because that to me seems silly. First of all, especially some of the committee meetings are recorded. And all you're doing is asking if did I summarize this correctly? It's not like you're asking, but it truly is technically, it can be a violation. So to stay away from it, I would. The meeting minutes, again, are the meeting minutes. You will then, do you normally approve them at your next building committee meeting?
Sure.
If you do that, I think that's where the discussion can be.
So he shouldn't correct what Chris writes in the minutes.
In an email, I would not.
Okay.
Can I pose a hypothetical?
Sure. They're always so fun.
Let's say a committee wants to establish a date for their next meeting, and they email each other to establish that date for their next meeting. That would be a violation of the Open Records Act because they're communicating about a meeting that they're going to have in the future.
Open Meeting Act, yes, it would be a violation technically. That's why actually and I hate to put you in this position, Danielle, but if you were to ask Danielle to send out the email to each committee member asking when the date could be, that's the best, or to discuss it here at council as to when to set your, I mean, I understand there's gonna be special meetings where you can't have, right? That's actually another reason why we set the regular meeting schedule, if you will, towards the beginning of the year.
Sure.
But if there's gonna be special meetings, yeah, technically it really should not happen that way.
I don't know how else to do it.
I know.
Well, you
Other
could
than-
establish a meeting
Oh, God,
at
Danielle's.
the meeting that you're in, you could just say, just like, Chris just
But if
said,
special meetings come
hey,
up,
we're having a meeting, the next meeting is on the 12th of May or whatever.
I know it's
But-
popped up, we're out of town, we didn't know.
Exactly.
Well, the mayor just talked about having a special meeting about Chagrin Lakes. And most people said, I need to check my calendar.
right?
So theoretically, the mayor has to wait until the next open council meeting.
No, you could, for
No.
sure email, you could also email the mayor. I'm saying that would, because remember, if the public body is here, you would need, 4 of the 6 that are all emailing in the same email, right? That's the majority. If you were to just email the mayor and say, yep, I'm available on May 1st, and if Dennis was to just email the mayor and say, I'm available, do you understand what I'm saying?
That's why writing always says, don't respond all.
Well, yeah, but the point, this is theater of the absurd, right?
Agreed.
We're emailing about starting a meeting.
I
And
know.
we have to do it in an open meeting, but we can't have an open meeting until we decide on a date for the open meeting.
Right, that's why, again, I'm sorry. Or Leslie, ask for, assistance through them.
So basically, we're
So we
going.
can double Danielle's workload.
I know, I don't mean to put more work on your plate, I really don't.
You'd be like the
Just saying.
telephone operator of all time.
I mean, it did
So what it's saying, what you're saying 11th District Court has said is we go back to telephoning everybody separately.
No.
That's,
Yeah.
if you're calling your committee member,
That's a
that's a
violation.
sunshine
That's a
violation.
That's
She's
an open
talking
meeting.
public records.
No, that's open meetings as well, violation, because you're calling, and how about this, if you also can't do like series of meetings where it's round robin and everyone's talking about the exact same thing. I know, it's not fun, I encourage you to look at the 2023 Ohio Sunshine Manual, really, maybe you won't be surprised, maybe you'll just think it's absurd, right? But if you look at some of the cases, you would,
Well, I have, and, there is an absurd level.
yes,
Even the 11th district will not go to, though it has not been found yet. Be that as it may, you have to abide by the law.
right,
Well, no, and to illustrate, I think, Bridie's point, for those of you who've been following Jogga County Board of Health issues, there is a sunshine violation that has been filed against them for some of the proceedings that they had, which resulted in the decision to say, we're going to disestablish our own Board of Health and go with contract services from Lake County.
Yeah.
So it is out there, and that's pending right now.
Am I correct in assuming that if 2 members of the same committee run into each other and discuss quickly something on village business but does not pertain to their committee, is that permitted? So if Jerry and I talk about human resources, I don't know, are you on HR?
No.
Okay.
no, technically that would be allowed,
Okay.
because that's not the public body that, it's not the HR committee, and it's also not 4 members of council.
Perfect.
I know.
I like it when I figure these things out.
And also can't go one person at a time to
Right.
get pieces that's
You can't daisy chain it.
But I think I can give an example of something that is allowed. So we're having this park appreciation luncheon. It's a scheduled event. Canton and Kavanaugh will be there. They can come, but they can't talk about Fall Festival.
That's true, although, or really anything park, and that's why I was actually gonna ask, is this going to be a special meeting of the park?
I think it probably should. I think any
Might
more.
as well
Might
just
as
make
well.
it a special
Special
meeting of
council
the park committee, right? I apologize, you're both on that committee or no? Yes,
They're
okay.
both on park.
Well, technically, she's on park, he's on
She's the
property.
council rep to the park committee.
Okay,
So
It
it's
would
a
be a
property issue.
committee meeting.
I think it's a special
They're both
council
on
meeting.
property.
It's just easy.
will there be at least a
Somebody else
majority of
coming?
council members? Sometimes it's just easier to really have that,
Okay?
Yeah.
And you bake chocolate chip cookies, if you go to jail, you'll come and,
Right, of course. No, I listen, I will tell you that, I will say that the Supreme Court is very, very hesitant to reward actually attorneys' fees in some of these cases.
Yeah.
They're not a fan of doing that. However, those are not the only damages, there's consequences, like I said, when the action we've taken can be voided. Actually, it would be voided, it never happened. So all that work, just think of that. Actually, that's one of the cases in here, was the subcommittee on that land use plan. That's gigantic, because that sometimes is literally over a course of years, and all of that was completely void.
I'm disappointed to see the number of educators.
Yep.
That are getting caught.
Absolutely. So,
Okay, Solicitor, anything else? Thank you very much for your patience and waiting till we finally got to you, and you've made things clear.
no problem. I do have one other thing to report, and I don't know if we want to talk about it. I see it's definitely on the ordinances. But we did hear back from the Holtzes, and so we can go into executive session if you wish. I don't see a pressing need to do so. They've signed off on the agreement, but I think there should probably be a discussion at least of the ordinance part.
Okay?
Okay.
Any other
That's it.
things, Solicitor? Thank you. Street Committee.
Committee, the April minutes were in your packet for your review. Our next meeting is May the 5th at 7:30 a.m. in the Service Director's office. This Saturday, April 29th, from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. is our annual trash day. For anybody listening on YouTube, please enter on Bell Road. You need proof of residency when you come in. There's a whole list on the South Russell website of things you can and cannot bring. Subject to any comments from Mr. Paul.
Appropriation.
Is that correct?
It's on
Oh, okay. This is for a motion to approve payment of application 1 for the culvert replacement project.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Now, Councilman Porter, do you have anything?
Are we getting together this Friday for the bid opening?
at noon, I believe it is.
Yeah, it was a little earlier than it was discussed in our last meeting, so I was surprised. I'm happy it's early.
Is that for culverts or is that for,
That's the roads
That's the
program.
road program, culverts is done.
Yeah, so noon Friday.
Yeah, can we sunshine that?
It is.
It's out, it's
already on there?
sunshine. Yeah, it's noon
I think it's on the
Friday.
schedule, isn't it?
Yeah, noon Friday here at Village Hall.
Sounds good.
Excellent.
Questions of the Street Committee?
I do have one, and I was approached, actually reached out to in an email by a resident that basically asked me or reported that there is a residence at 1417 Bell Road, all right, that filled in the swales, the ditches on Bell Road, okay? And, I know that over the past year or two, there's been construction of a house on that site, there's been construction of outbuildings, and I've passed by several times, and when I looked at the fill-in of the culverts, I always assumed that there was a culvert pipe that ran where the flow of water used to be. This resident said, hey, there is no culvert pipe. And I said, I could swear there was one, but I actually, put eyes on very closely today and realized there is no culvert throughway for water at 1417 Bell Road. And I'm just wondering, this is primarily the streets because of culvert issues, and I know the street commissioner has got involved with that before, but even the apron into the driveway has no culvert, and he extended a gravel, parking area on either side of his access to his house and filled that in as well. So I don't know whether a zoning inspector ought to be involved, but clearly it would appear like, especially with all the issues we have with water, that something's wrong with a resident that just arbitrarily filled in the ditch and restricts water.
You're absolutely correct. There's no culvert pipe there. In past communication, I went through some old minutes with the engineer in one of our meetings. He mentioned that particular property is on a crest line.
Yeah.
So to the west, it's slightly sloped, and to the east, it's significantly sloped. I can't confirm that without standing there, but I think it's a minimal slope, so it goes to another drain. Maybe the engineer should go out and relook after the apron's been adjusted, though.
Well, and the only thing that I realized it was in a high area,
Yeah.
but I still say, I know water doesn't flow uphill, but is that going to lead to other residents who might be on elevated land to say, well, he didn't need any culvert pipe, why should I? So I think it's just something that bears taking a look at, and if it's legal and authorized, I'd be okay with it. But, I was surprised to find out that there was, there used to be, in the previous resident, there used to be a ditch. And
Maybe we can bring it up our next meeting, ask the engineer to take a look and give us a good recommendation.
I would appreciate
bringing it
that
up.
too. When that was done, I called Tim and he said there was not a culvert there. The water drains from the opposite side of the street, but I second what Dennis is asking. I think it's a good idea.
And I know there was a ditch there. You probably do too. You put a sign there, and there was a ditch or a swale or whatever you call it. There was a depression between the property and the street that water was able to flow.
Now I wish I paid better attention, though. We'll definitely bring it up.
Thanks for looking into
in May.
this.
Any other questions of the street committee? I'm gonna tag in on Trash Day.
Sure.
Trash Day, you got a piece of paper in front of you. This is a new thing that's been open probably about 6 months. Jaga Trumbull Solid Waste Management District, they are now out at the county area out on Merritt Road. They probably in the next couple of years will cut into our Trash Day volume. People may just not want to wait for a whole year, so that is a lot of information. We're going to pass these out to every car that comes through on Trash Day. And on the back is another way to tell residents about the centennial celebration. So hopefully we'll get a lot of interest.
I apologize.
Okay.
Was there a motion and a second on the culvert
There was,
replacement? Was there a vote?
Yes,
I'm sorry, I missed it. Thank you.
Okay, Chris, we're back to you, Building Committee.
Sure, Building Committee April minutes were in your packet for your review. Our next meeting is May the 4th at 8 a.m. in the Building Department. You'll notice on your agenda, there were 2 ordinance changes proposed on there. We are actually going to hold off on that this evening. The committee needs to take some time to review the language in that, to the changes that the solicitor put together for us. We'd also want to hear what the feedback was from Planning Commission at their last meeting regarding suggested changes to have alternates for them. So my apologies if you took time to read that over the weekend, and you'll just have to do a refresher when we bring it back up here in a month or so.
All right, skipping over Chief, unless you were prepared to do something, we are now at the Safety Committee.
I have no report.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Safety will be meeting on Thursday, May the 4th at 9 a.m. at the police station. Chief, will we be voting for a part-time officer in the future?
We're all completed with that process, and the last party that we interviewed will be sworn in at the May 8th meeting. But we have another one in the pipes, and we're going to request a joint HR safety. Either we'll do a special meeting or figure out how to schedule an interview.
Thank you very much. Dennis, you have anything?
No, thanks.
That's all I have.
Questions of the Safety Committee? HR Committee.
HR will meet next on May 4th at 1 p.m. And I don't have anything significant to add unless Mr. Berger does.
I'm good, thank you.
Questions of the HR Committee? All right, Ruth, Property Committee.
Property, that will meet at May 4th as well, 10 a.m. That'll be Jerry's third meeting of the morning. Let's see, 10 a.m., May 4th, properties. And it looks like I need to make 2 motions.
You know what, we knocked those
We
off.
did them already.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. And so, see everybody May 4th, the largest meeting day, it looks like, of the whole village.
Questions of the property committee? At your next meeting, I see this year, we won't know the Brown schedule until May 13th.
May 13th.
Wasn't that used to come in like end of
I know,
April?
May 12th at 8 p.m.
It usually came out before the draft, didn't it?
Yeah,
I believe it's going to be May.
They posted who they play, they just hadn't posted where they play,
Right.
or when they play. I
The
should say.
announcement would be at 8 p.m.
Well,
I guess the reason I bring this up, let's start with the park committee meeting. I think we have to just have a heart-to-heart with Ted to say, we're gonna pick a day in January for the fall festival, and the heck with the Browns.
I'd be all for that because it's hard to get the vendors that are popular and I'm frustrated over it.
Okay, yeah, and you're losing vendors too.
We've
Right.
lost,
Any other questions for the park committee, or properties committee? Public utilities,
Thank you, Mayor. After the stormwater special meeting, I put it out there that we will have a special Public Utilities Committee meeting on Wednesday, April 26th at 7 p.m. There's one item on the agenda, and that is to talk about the Paw Paw Lake Silt Pond and adjacent swim lake. So that will happen here on Wednesday night, so you're welcome to attend. And that is the only thing I have. Mark?
Are we inviting the mayor is obviously part of the committee, but are we inviting the engineer?
You got it on your email. You, that was it.
Yes. I mean, he was emailed with the invitation. I don't know if he's planning to attend.
I
But
think it'd be helpful if he attended.
all right.
Does that need to be sunshine for council? More than,
If, that's why I was just gonna ask if there's gonna be 4 members of council, then we should sunshine as a special council meeting.
And there's at least 2.
I plan on attending.
That's 3.
I'll be there. They're probably
4.
Okay, so, yep, then it's a special council meeting.
starting stealing your party.
Yeah, hey, the more the merrier.
Yeah.
Um,
We want the solicitor present for it.
You know, it was asked of me, and initially my thought was, this is just an exploratory meeting. And so maybe, you know, rather than get very technical, just get some ideas out on the table. And then, once we sort of clarify the direction we were going, then maybe bring the solicitor in.
Okay.
But
7 o'clock?
7 o'clock here at the Village Hall.
If I may add, I'd like to commend Councilman Berger, Councilman Porter for being proactive and holding this meeting.
We'll try.
We'll see what happens after the meeting if we're worthy of the praise, Jerry.
okay. Anything else for the Public Utilities Committee? I have one thing, next Wednesday, Wednesday, May the 3rd, at 11:30, 2 representatives of the Chagrin River Watershed Partners and I are meeting with Tom Queen. He's the Congressman Joyce's, basically maintains his office. He's out of Ravenna. We're meeting in Twinsburg, Plymouth. I'll get this right. His office used to be in Twinsburg. He's out of Ravenna. We're going to meet in Kent at 11:30 on May the 3rd to look at any possible way. There's some money out there, or there's money that we could get for the village. Chagrin River Watershed Partners are going to send 2 people. I've asked Eric if he would want Jenny Brown. Jenny Brown is their grant person. She's the one that comes up with the money. So she may attend also, but I think people need to know we're looking under every rock for any money that could be out there. Also, if you don't mind, Chris, I've been texting Eric. Eric is available on Wednesday, May the 3rd at 7 o'clock. So we will have a special council meeting Wednesday, May the 3rd, 7 o'clock. It will be for stormwater. And we will,
I'm sorry, Mayor.
go ahead.
We sunshine this for Wednesday, April 26th.
No, storm, he's,
Now you're, oh, okay.
Separate.
Now, I'm sorry, I'm
Separate.
sorry. I apologize.
For Chagrin Lakes.
Okay, Chagrin Lakes. Sorry, I jumped in too quick.
No, there's so many stormwater
I
meetings.
know. I'm
No.
it's
confused.
all stormwater.
I think, no, you brought up a good point. This meeting on Wednesday, May the 3rd, is for the Chagrin Lakes culvert only then.
Right.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Wednesday, May the 3rd. And we will get a notice to the Chagrin Lakes residents. Today's Tuesday. We'll get a notice to them on Wednesday, which is April 26th. 2 days from now, we'll get a notice to the Chagrin Lakes.
So this Wednesday, Paw, the following Wednesday, Chagrin Lakes.
Correct.
You got it. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. We are at ordinance and resolutions. This is the third reading, appropriations finance. Can you do this one?
No, I
No,
don't.
you can't.
you
Okay.
cannot.
Dennis, you got it.
Yeah, third reading of an ordinance amending the annual appropriations, increasing Manabrook expenses, $19,000. Motion to adopt.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
No.
Roll call, pardon me.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Abstain.
Canton.
Stay.
Kavanaugh.
Hi,
Galiki.
The ordinance pass. All right, this next one deals with the park, so it's yours, Ruth.
introduce and consider for adoption a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute and file an application with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources for a NatureWorks grant for the restrooms at the village park and declaring an emergency, and move to waive readings?
Yes.
Okay, move to waive readings.
Second.
Discussion, pardon me, roll call.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Canton.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye,
Galiki.
Aye.
and
Move to
Move
adopt.
to adopt.
move to adopt.
Second.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Canton.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye,
Galiki.
Aye.
Resolution passes. All right, Chris, next one.
We're going to skip these next two.
Skip the next two, which dealt with the alternates to the planning commission. We are now, let me X these out. Okay,
Bills.
Finance, somebody.
Or Jerry as project.
Jerry, you've been handling this one. Yeah, property, okay.
Introduce an ordinance approving the settlement agreement and mutual release among Dr. Gary and Carol Holtz, MC Art Studio, LLC, Charlene and Patrick Holtz, and the Village of South Russell, approving as consideration for the settlement agreement and mutual release the purchase of property located at 1208 Bell Road for the purchase price of $450,000, authorizing the mayor to execute the settlement agreement, mutual release, and purchase agreement on behalf of the village, authorizing the mayor and/or fiscal officer to perform such other acts as necessary or appropriate in order to effectuate the purchase of the property and declaring an emergency, and motion to suspend further readings.
Need a second.
Second.
Roll call.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Canton.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye,
Galiki.
Motion to adopt.
second.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Canton.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye,
Galiki.
Ordinance passes. We are at the bills list.
Dennis, can you do this, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to ratify the bills lists of 4/14/2023 in the amount of $336.02. So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All those in
Roll
favor?
call.
Roll call. Yep.
Porter,
Aye.
Bell,
Aye.
Berger,
Abstain.
Canton, Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Motion passed. We are at new other.
Porter,
None.
Bell,
None.
Berger,
None.
Canton,
None.
Kavanaugh.
Yes, could you, talk with me afterward or anytime so that we can figure out when Deb could come in? So that I can piece together my writing with the pictures to finally get this pamphlet completed. So that I can have a life back
Is that
Yeah.
and
Okay.
report.
100th anniversary pamphlet?
Yes,
That's all we have.
that's it.
Delisi,
None.
that's everybody.
There's no need for an executive session. Before we have a motion to adjourn, let's kind of coordinate calendars here with a special council meeting.
God.
So we now have a special council meeting on April 26th, at 7 PM. Okay? We now have a special council meeting on May the 3rd at 7 PM. That will be, one item will be Chagrin Lakes, what we'll call it the Chagrin Lakes Culvert. Okay? Is there anything else that we did?
You were going to do the park appreciation lunch as a special meeting.
Park appreciation is on June the 16th. That's a special council meeting. Can't think of anything.
What time is that one?
May 1st and
the
15th of May.
The 15th is, pardon me, the park appreciation is at 11:30 on Friday, June the 16th. And the two, good points, the two ad hoc committee meetings, one of them is Monday, May the 1st, and the other one is Monday, May the 15th
At 7 p.m.
at 7 PM.
Village Hall.
Village Hall, yeah. Okay? Okay, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
By Porter, seconded by
Second.
Bell. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned at 8:16.
Were we going to go into executive session? No? Okay.
If you